Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to VVV Gaming Presents No Scrubs Allowed. I am your host, VVV Fearless, and today I have with me Team Legacy's kwlpp, our engineer expert, who is going to be unpacking the engineer for us a very little bit. So, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Team Legacy has been making some big waves in the structured PvP scene for Guild Wars 2, so I'm very excited to have a team member from there on the show. We're going to dive right into this because the point of this show is to really understand the classes we're talking about. Today it is Engineer, so let's get right into our first question, which is, how strong is the Engineer in structured PvP?
I believe right now, in terms of the hierarchy professions in Guild Wars 2, the Engineer is easily in the top 3. I think it rivals in comparison to the Mesmer and Thief, mainly because of how strong it can fulfill its roles. It has the ability to always have swiftness or vigor up for like 100% uptime. It has the ability to run condition. It has the ability to run point control, and also has the ability to do a high damage burst in terms of just raw power.
Okay, so that's actually really awesome for me to hear because I love engineers, and everybody's been talking about these Mesmers and Thieves, how they're good, or how they're so good, but you really think that these guys can compete?
In the 1v1 setting, I don't think the Engineer can excel as high as, say, a Thief with Thieves Guild up. If the Thief doesn't have Thieves Guild up, the Engineer gets a much more control over the situation, ignoring the fact that stealth does kind of help the Thief reset fights. Just condition-based builds are usually reliant upon bombs and grenades, which are AoE based, so you don't actually have to know the location of the Thief to fight it. The same way kind of goes towards Mesmers. Mesmers in general are like 1v1 kings right now. I don't think an Engineer in general can really fight with them in that 1v1 setting, but in a team fight, I do think they bring more of a presence. And I mean, they're able to still eliminate phantasms quick enough where the Mesmer won't be able to blow you up instantly, but you do run into some troubles nonetheless.
Absolutely. The Mesmers and Thieves, both 1v1, are just pretty vicious right now. So you've talked a little bit about, or you've thrown some words around, conditions and bombs and stuff like that. What roles do you see Mesmers filling, and how do you see them filling those roles?
Engineers, I guess, in that case.
I'm sorry. Yes, totally engineers.
I guess for engineers, it really depends on how you make your composition. The composition that we run is we try to get engineers into team fights as frequently as possible. And in those team fight compositions, we'll have one that's more power-based and then one that's more condition-based. The engineer can switch into both really well. And it can also roam decently. So once that first big team fight is done, they can rotate to more offensive and take on the enemy's control points, or you can start rotating defensively if they're assaulting your own back point.
All right. So do you prefer to have them in a dedicated role for structured PvP, or would you prefer them to be that kind of middle ground variable player?
I'm personally of the opinion that if you're going to have a role, you maximize in that one role. So if I am going to do condition damage, my job is to just flat out do condition damage first and foremost, and then look at secondary objectives. How well can I roam? How well can I move? So likewise goes with power. If I'm going to go power NG, I want to make sure my burst is as hard as it can be to make sure that they can't get out of it. And then from there on, I start worrying about maybe self-peeling. But just get that damage out first and then start tweaking the builds.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your favorite engineer build. You were nice enough to link it for me, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. Maybe you could talk us through it.
All right. So the build that's linked right there is the current condition-based build that I run. It's meant for team fights. It's not a point control build that you might see other engineers run. If you look at it, it's 30 into explosives, 30 into alchemy, and 10 into tools instead of firearms, which is a personal choice. Explosives, I think, are pretty straightforward. On my bar, I'm not only running bomb kit, I'm also running grenade kit. So pretty much all the traits are in association with those two things. In the first major trait line, it's the only non-bomber grenade major trait I take, and that's just simply burning. Burning does the highest condition damage with the shortest duration. It's really hard to wipe, and it's just really, really strong. I go alchemy because I personally run a double elixir build. I run elixir H for healing, which is not very, I know many people are kind of don't like it because it has a random boon proc to it. But if you elixir 409 as the major trait, every time you use an elixir via tool belt or your application of the skill itself on the bar, you get a free condition wipe. And I also run elixir B, so pretty much I give myself 4 condition wipes on a build that normally would not have any, unless you're running like elixir, I believe S. And then the last one is 10 in tools, and this comes back into the idea of what do you want to do after your primary objective is done. I personally like to be able to move around the map very quickly, and having 10 in tools for speedy kits pretty much lets me have 100% uptime and movement. You can even alter the build slightly in Alchemy to give yourself a vigor on swiftness, so you'll pretty much be able to always dodge while moving around the map.
All right, and so you're also running Rabid Amulet and Superior Rune of the Undead. Why did you choose Rune of the Undead?
Before, I used to actually run the 4 Afflicted and 2 Crate, and just simply focus on duration of both Poison and Bleed, which are very, very strong. However, I decided to switch to Undead because I simply just wanted higher damage output. I don't think there's ever a correct set of runes to run. You simply just want to see what fits for your playstyle. Obviously, the longer the fight goes, and if an opponent doesn't have a lot of condition wipes, things like duration are extremely powerful. But if you start taking into account in team fights where a team might be running Elementalists or Shout Warriors, Shout Guardians that start stripping conditions off their allies, then duration doesn't matter. You're never going to see the full duration of your bleeds. You'll never see the full duration of your poisons. In that case, you just want to get the highest damage output per tick. So that's the main reason for toughness. Rings of Undead. The toughness bonus is just kind of additional. It's not a huge deal.
So it's kind of incidental. It came along with it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I get free toughness, and I convert toughness into more condition damage. But really, it's just condition damage I was looking at for the most part. And then Rabid Amulet, you need to have a high enough crit to trigger off your ICDs. Things like that first major trait in Explosive that does burn has, I believe, almost like a 4 or 5 second ICD on it. So you want to make sure you're proccing them as often as you can. Yes, it might go wasted in some cases, but it's better that they're on the ICD versus never being on it.
Absolutely. Now you are running pistol, and is that just for the straight damage instead of running like pistol shield, say?
Yeah, for me personally, I'm comfortable running pistol. I play a much more aggressive game. If you're looking for something more defensive, pistol shield is a great choice. I just personally love glue shot and blowtorch. Blowtorch is a great way of just doing free damage when they want to get in your face, because engineers are usually one of their highest priority targets in general. And glue shot's a great way of self-peeling to go along with the bomb kit and grenade kit that provides additional peeling.
Absolutely. So this is actually a really cool build. I'm definitely going to be trying it. Now talk to me a little bit. You're not taking a whole lot of kind of knock around. You're not taking a whole lot of CC, and that's just because you are focusing purely on putting as much damage on, condition damage on your opponent as possible. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the main reason behind it. I know that you can actually run something like a flamethrower kit. However, I think to really maximize its utility, it would be more of a point defense and control hybrid, which is really, really great at. I know a lot of engineers like to run that style of build. Just for me personally, I'm just going damage output and just mass application of conditions.
Now, this is a very focused build, so obviously you're running it in a team that is also very focused. Is there any class in particular that is necessary to optimize this style of engineer?
No. I think the nicest thing about Guild Wars 2 is that to some extent, to some degree, what the developers wanted of any profession doing anything holds true. You're going to have some professions that excel at doing certain roles much better than others. Like a warrior doing condition damage can have great condition output. I'm not going to lie. I used to run like a longbow build, which is like insane burning uptime. But the problem is that it doesn't have the proper applications of conditions to cover that burn. So engineers in that case would then be stronger because if you get that burn on, if you get those high stacks of bleed, your opponent has a much harder time of removing other conditions that it just wants to get rid of. So you start playing the RNG game against your opponent, which is what makes like engineer conditions so strong. The likewise can be applied to support or more of a support defensive hybrid builds or even just power offensive builds. The same things apply to those.
Thank you so much. Once again, this is kwlpp from Team Legacy. Do you have any shoutouts you want to do?
Yeah, if you could, teamlegacy.net is our general guild website, but more importantly, if you could go check out on facebook.com/teamlegacyna. It's our page that we've set for it. We're going to start doing giveaways on it soon that we've been collecting through like trading posts, in-game give-outs pretty much, and the more support, the better.
Fantastic. You can find me on Twitter at VVVFearless. I believe it's all down below there. You can email me, fearless@vvv-gaming.com. Go check out VVV Gaming. They're the ones enabling all of this. Thank you all very much for watching. If you want to be on this show, please email me. This is, once again, No Scrubs Allowed. We're going to be taking a look at all of the different classes and trying to get as focused an idea of how to make them absolutely awesome as we can. Thanks so much.